freedoms are being taken. It is time for history to repeat itself and stand. Black Robe Patriots. Your host, Dr. Cindy Flowers and Pastor Ladina Boo.
Good morning. It's Ladina Boo from Stockton, Missouri, and my lovely friend here. Go ahead.
Dr. Cindy Flowers from Michigan.
Okay. Well, let's start out so that we don't get in trouble with the higher muckety mucks in charge of the internet to say that the views and opinions expressed here on this show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, its affiliates, or subordinate ministries. And so, that's our disclaimer this morning in case we irritate somebody. And, we're only talking about our Constitution, though, so hopefully that doesn't disturb too many people.
Yes, indeed.
Well, today we were going to talk about the Third Amendment. And the Third Amendment says, no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So, consequently, this is one of the first three little groups of amendments to our Constitution, Bill of Rights, that are basically privacy type laws.
Exactly. If you go back and you see, because I was reading about the history of it, and they would send soldiers in to stay in your homes. Even if you did not want them there, you were forced to. And if you've seen, if you've ever seen the miniseries Turn, you will see how the military, the British, would just come in many times and just say, "We're taking this house. Bye. We're taking your home, or we're going to use your home for this. We're going to use it." And it was like, this has got to stop. And the people,
you had to feed them and house them, and you had to make sure they had beer. That was one thing on the list. You had to make sure they had beer and, provide all their food and everything else. That's insanity.
yes. And, the people didn't mind their own militia, but they did not like the formal troops coming in. They would help one of us, but they would not a British soldier or anything like that. And if you look through history, I just got done watching it again yesterday, and it's really a gripping movie if you've never seen it. It's called The Wind That Shakes the Barley, and it's a story about how these two brothers showed how they came to form the Irish independence. However, at that time, they split because when they were fighting, they said there was a truce. If you allowed the British to have still have control of half of Ireland, and then the other half you could have for free. And they were like, no, we want full freedom. And before they were fighting for that, you would see that they would the British soldiers would come in and just come into their homes. They would beat them up if you didn't answer. They weren't allowed to play games. They weren't allowed to do much of anything. They were always getting attacked. They were coming in, beating people up. They've killed people. And that's what happened here in before America got birthed, really, that they were manipulating people that way. And finally it had to come to a stop, so you can see where this had come, was made sure it was noted into the Constitution. As I've always said, and we have always said, everything that is written in this Constitution comes from past experience of being a tyrannical abuse.
Right. Because the King of England, he pushed that forever, that you had to take in soldiers and feed them and house them and provide them with their ale. And, we don't hear much about the Third Amendment. It's never gone on to a case in the Supreme Court at all, but it has been questioned over the years. And, but it's really the courts, whenever they've decided on it, have said that it is one of the constitutional guarantees creating zones of privacy and for a traditional and strong resistance of Americans to any military intrusion into civil affairs. So, this is telling the government, once again, it's a shall not. You shall not put your soldiers in private houses and, displace the people who live there, or force them to house you and feed you and everything else. That's just not the way it works in this country.
Exactly. And what I see them trying to do now in a few states, not so much housing the soldiers, but now they're trying to push people to house illegals
Right.
into their homes. And they don't have the right to do that. They do not have the right to take your home and say, okay, these people are going to live here in your home. They have no right to do that. And it
Yeah.
says that in the Constitution that's your home. You bought that. That's your land. They cannot touch it, and you cannot be forced to have people live in your home. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
makes
it,
me wonder whether or not the hotels that are being forced to take in the illegal immigrants, if they would have any rights underneath the Third Amendment, because, you know, they're having to turn away paying guests, whenever they want a number of people that are going to be in your hotel on a certain night. You can't account for people like Jesus going to the inn. He wasn't prepared to, when his parents went there, they didn't make a reservation or something. And, you can't have people come to your hotel and you can't house them because you've been forced to take in a bunch of illegal immigrants from the United States government.
exactly, because they won't stop. They won't stop the flow of it. You know,
Hmm.
and I think I keep going back um, to Ireland and Scotland because there is so much history there of what was being done because it was at that time it was an extension. Not only were they harassing the Irish in the same way, they were harassing the Scottish in the same way, India in the same way, and when they had control over the New World, they treated the colonists the same way. And when you listen to a lot of music from, like, if you listen to the show Riverdance, and a lot of the songs there um, are steeped in having to leave their motherland, Ireland, and come to America because you can because of the same problem. And if you read the Declaration of Independence that was signed, there was a lot of Scottish and Irish um, ancestry that came over that signed that declaration because they were victims of it as well, of all
Hmm.
of these things. So combining all that, and you have the right to tell somebody no. You have the right to tell somebody get off. You're not coming on my land. You're not going to be forced into my home. That's your Third Amendment right. It is a right, people. These are rights. You need to learn to read what your rights are instead of instead of just allowing the government to manipulate that. They cannot manipulate the Constitution. They try.
Hmm. Because that was one of the main grievances for the revolutionary war in the first place. as because they were expected to provide food, firewood, beer, and everything else for these soldiers that are coming in here trying to force the American colonists underneath the king, and follow all the king's rules and stuff. And you know I'm I guess I'm just stubborn. I mean, some guy who's on the other half of the world, he doesn't need to be telling me what to do. Okay. Yeah. So I can identify with the colonists here. It's like, no, you want us to do all this stuff, and it's not right. And so it doesn't, the Third Amendment these days doesn't get violated very often. But it has been violated a few times through history. It happened during the War of 1812, and then during the Civil War. They go in and decide that, okay, your great big giant house is now a hospital for soldiers or whatever the case may be, or you're going to take them all in here to live. And it was also violated in World War II because the U.S. Army evacuated the Aleutian Islanders and occupied their homes. Nobody even raised a peep during that, but it's been an issue just a few times over the years. And then probably the most recent one would have been in 1965 because some guards at a prison facility went on strike over the working environment and everything like that. And so they decided that they were going on strike, and the government at that point decided, no, we don't care if you're just renting these houses, because they all lived right there around the penal facility. And so they kicked all the people out and their families and put in National Guardsmen. And that was a great big giant lawsuit at that particular point in time, because they said that was the same thing. You're putting National Guardsmen into a private residence.
Yes, you can't do that. You can't force anybody
Mm-hmm.
upon the property that you own. Now, I think that still holds true if you are a renting tenant, but I think you still, as long as you are paying that rent and you have ownership of that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the word I'm looking for, ownership, but you are, excuse me,
You have
in the
that
rental.
occupancy,
Yeah,
because
your
also
occupancy.
at the
Thank you.
the thing at the prison facility, whenever they started housing the National Guardsmen there, all the homes were owned by the state, but they were rented to the guards for that prison facility. And so the Supreme Court ruled at that particular point in time that even though you're renting the property, that's still your domicile. That's still your private residence. That's still your place to decide what happens there. And so, of course, the National Guardsmen and everybody lost on that particular fight. But, it's so the Third Amendment is just
Mhm.
something really quite, a lot of people don't even realize what it is. So, you know, they're like some people, it's talking about quartering soldiers, and they're like, okay, we're going to chop them up into pieces. Or something. we're going to quarter our soldiers here.
And see, these are each one that we have, each amendment that we've gone over, each amendment that we're going to discuss and bring and highlight, each one of them are important. You only see them attacking the First and Second Amendment, because without those, you can't enforce the rest. But it's very important that you take this on and you learn your these amendments, and you learn your constitutional rights. There's so many people out there that do not know all the rights that they actually have, and
Mhm.
they'll listen to somebody give them some spiel, and go, no, you're not allowed to do that. If you read your Constitution, you would go, wait a minute, it says here in the Constitution, I have a right to this. And then,
Right.
then it's like, oh, well, no, it's like, yeah, I do have a right to this and this. This is what it says. And, those that will try to play you on that will try, but if you learn it, if you study it, like we're trying to show you here, um, you're going to be surprised at how many rights you do have here and that you're not utilizing, you know?
Yeah, and they're not really teaching um, the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, or why they ended up the way they did in our public school system these days. They're doing a watered down version or whatever the case may be, and instead want to rely on social justice issues and everything. And it's like, no, justice starts with our Constitution, and so you need to know it. And whenever they start chipping away at that, like they've been doing, they've been chipping away at our free speech ideas, they've been chipping away at our gun rights and so forth. And then here we're getting into the the three amendments to the Bill of Rights and Constitution that really affect your privacy. And this is one of the areas of privacy. You don't have to have these people in your home. And whenever they come and knock on your door and say, no, we're coming in, you can say, no, you're not. Go get a warrant from some kind of a warrant or an order from a judge before you can come into my house. And you've even got to watch those because they are trying to take away your rights. They want you to be under the thumb of a federal bureaucracy. And that is not the way our nation was established.
Exactly. Exactly. We are, no matter what they try to say, if you notice that a lot of these Democrat politicians are always saying they're trying to invade our democracy. Our democracy. We are not. America is not a democracy. We are a republic, which means we the people. The power belongs to the people, not the government. The people,
Yeah.
not the government.
And the
There is
power belongs
enough.
to our states. Our states have those rights that the federal government thinks they're going to step on also.
Mhm. So it's important. It's important that I think, and you might go, well, yeah, that third was not really a big deal. It really is a big deal because when they want to try to be shady and try to put that upon you, you don't realize it that you have the right to go, no, 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 not that's my Third Amendment right. Don't you dare even try to do that. Um, they will try to get you to do it and use all kinds of word salad on you to try to confuse you and make you think otherwise. But you have
Hmm.
got to learn. You got to learn about this country, and you got to learn when they say, "Oh, why would they?" Oh, what's the biggest one? Why would they make these? Oh, these laws are outdated. No, they're not. No, they're not. If you take a look at why these are in place, if you take a look at history and watch and see what it was like back then before these laws were and amendments and the Constitution was put into place, you will understand. But none of this is outdated. If we need more of this now, it's coming more of a need now than we ever did.
Right. And I don't know about anybody else in this country, but I'll be 65 in October. Okay, I've been around here a long time, and I am so disturbed by the blatant attack against our rights and our liberties from our own legislatures. Those people in Washington D.C. don't have a clue. Pardon me. about choked to
You
death on a coffee.
okay? Yeah.
But, they want to strip us of our rights while they do as they please. And, whenever we get all the way into this Constitution and stuff, you'll find that our Congress is making laws and drawing up rules and stuff that are for them only. And that's against our Constitution right there in and of itself. They are not allowed to make these laws that affect them only. We can take that back to Obamacare and so forth. All the United States was supposed to get Obamacare or, do something with their insurance and so forth. But Congress said that they were exempt from that. And we can't allow that.
Exactly. That's what that's the thing that gets me the most is these people. Well, a lot of them not anymore these days. We're not voted in. They you know lied themselves in.
Oh,
But
that's a whole other
they
topic,
get
lady.
yeah they they and then instead of all they are there for when you see the House of Representatives, remember that word, representatives, and then you have the Senate. These people were put there to represent that particular state and represent the people in that state.
Yeah.
They're not in there to live the lap of luxury and live in all these expensive uh, homes, like mansion like homes and all this land and stuff, and then look down upon us and just give us dog scraps. And they get the creme de la creme of healthcare and everything else, and then they throw us whatever. That's not how it's supposed to work. You're just there to represent us, but you're not supposed to live better than we do. You're not, that's not how it works.
Yeah, you
And
don't
that's
get
what they're
elected.
doing.
They need to understand that they were put there to represent us, not to become multimillionaires, which is what a lot of them are doing. And
Oh, yeah.
then you get them in there and you can't seem to get them out. You have a woman in there now that doesn't know which ends up, and all she had to say the other day was yay or nay, and she went off on another tangent and was talking about something different. It's like, Dianne Feinstein, you need to go home.
Yes. Granny Diane needs to go home. But see, if you look at that, the a good majority of the Democrat Party, that's a
Mm-hmm.
nursing home there. And
Yeah.
they and I mean even Ginsburg, the woman couldn't even keep her head up half the time, and she would not give up her seat. She
Right.
kept her seat until she couldn't sit there anymore until she passed away. And I think a lot of them do that same thing. They stay in that seat until they either get voted out or they die.
Right.
And that's crazy.
And if you go and look at a lot of the confirmation hearings and stuff they've got going on, and the past couple of Supreme Court justices and things that they went to put on there, and putting people in positions for various committees and so forth. Look at those people. Look at those lawyers and so forth that are coming in there that have no idea what our Constitution says. They've not taken the
Oh,
time to read it, and even today, you can talk to a lot of lawyers and they're, you say something about the Third Amendment, and I think a lot of them have to turn around and go pick up a copy of the Constitution or a law book to figure out what the Third Amendment says. But, especially as crazy as our world is these days, and, they're going to try to push us further and further and further. And so, if there becomes an uprising in our country, then I have no doubt but what they would try to put soldiers in our homes and so forth. And I'm sorry, I'm not taking anybody into my home, okay? I've taken in my fair
No,
share of kids. I don't need soldiers.
no, no, no. And um, that would be a good um, that would be a good bit of homework for you, those listeners out there that are not all that familiar with the Constitution. Is go home and read it. You can watch videos on it. Hey, uh, most of us learned right when we were little. Schoolhouse Rock. You can watch the Schoolhouse Rock cartoon and learn a little bit about the Constitution. And there's a reason why it says "we the people" in it. I would say also too, go and watch some of those movies. What happened, like Rob Roy, look at Braveheart. What drove William Wallace to do what
Mm-hmm.
he did? He wanted freedom. He just wanted freedom, and he felt freedom is worth dying for. And see, this is what irks me the most, is that they don't people the up and coming people here in this generation, they don't care. They don't care the price of what freedom really is, until it's taken away from them, because they're so distracted with other things. They don't realize just how precious freedom truly is. They
Right.
don't know how precious it is. And that's the reason the Constitution was created, so we could have that freedom and be left alone. And there's people that are just allowing people to run over their rights and everything. And it's like, why are you doing that? Why are you allowing that? Do you have that right? And if you don't know cursive, learn it so you
Yeah.
can read what the Constitution says.
Yeah, read it and don't trust somebody's translation of it or transcription of it. Go and look at the original documents and actually see what it says, because you know I know the internet is out there. I know there's all kinds of wonderful information on there and everything, but not everything you read or have seen transcribed is the true document. It's kind of like looking at Facebook and up pops a picture of Abraham Lincoln saying, don't trust everything you read on the internet. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You know, just it's it's sad to me, because that's something you always learned. You always learned about US law and government, how we came to be and everything. And um like I said, if you go back, um the soldiers used to go in when they wanted to take your dwellings. They'd go and take your dwellings, and if the husband was away for something, and there's a wife and kids, they would rape the women in the home,
Right.
and either sometimes burn the house down if they were an enemy, or they would just destroy everything and then leave, or push the people out. And it's like, you can't do that to people. Those things, when you watch The Patriot with Mel Gibson, look at
Mm-hmm.
how they got the people in that church and locked them in that church and burnt it. It was the church or the school, or I think but they burnt them. They
Yes.
burnt them in that. So that was an uncommon act. That's what they would do.
Well,
And it wasn't there.
go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Okay. You look like you were frozen there for a second. I thought I interrupted your thought. But we've always got to remember too that the Third Amendment could become relevant again, because in whenever Katrina went through and New Orleans was wiped out and everything in the aftermath down there, National Guard troops and police were quartered on private property. Um, and that was a violation of the Third Amendment. Now, nobody went in and sued for that as of yet. There may be one in the works. You never can tell. But it's, you're seeing whenever there's natural disasters and stuff, then yes, they want to push people out of their homes and put National Guardsmen in there and things of that nature. But these strangers that are coming into your home, in all likelihood, if the government's putting them there, they're armed. They've been trained to use weapons against whatever their offender is or who they believe their offender is at that particular point in time. And like you said, you got women or girls in that home, and here comes 15, 20 National Guardsmen into your home, and you don't know what's going to happen. Your daughters may not be safe. You may not be safe. Who's to say that they are not going to just flip out for whatever reason and turn those guns on the person who owns the house?
Exactly. That's where we try to uh, uh, pump, get into your brain the reason why the Second Amendment came into effect. Because when you are unarmed, a person can do whatever they want to do, as you see all in your action movies. When somebody breaks into a home and you don't have any protection, you don't have a gun yourself, you have to be at the mercy of the person with the gun and do
Right.
what they're told. We see when the Jewish people gave up their arms in Germany, look what the government did. Anything they wanted to, just like Che Guevara in Cuba,
Mm-hmm.
anything they wanted to. With when you're unarmed, the government could do whatever they want to you.
Yeah.
But when
And
you have, excuse me, when you're able to defend yourself, then it's like, okay, well, we're getting pushback, so we need to leave these people alone.
mm-hmm.
That's why.
They don't want
Same thing
anybody
with
to
the third.
push back.
No,
They don't want you to
I was
push
going to
back.
say, same with the Third Amendment. They want to try to push people into your home. You have the right to protect your home now, and you can say, "Hey, no, out." And they can't go and put a gun in your face and say, "Oh, you will do it," because you could put a gun in their face and say, "Oh, no, I won't. This is my land. This is my home." That's why they try so hard to disarm you. And you silly, silly, silly people that go along with their agendas of, oh, let's be a gun-free zone. Gun-free zones are kill zones. You're opening up the door, so you're going to allow all the bad people with the guns to come in, and no good guy with the gun is going to be able to protect you. What's it going to take for you guys to see that? What's it going to take that for like with the Third Amendment? How are you gonna, if that's violated, how do you even know that you're being violated against when you don't know it?
Right. And, whenever we look at the riots they had in Portland and so forth, they brought in a lot of federal officers there, and they would arrest some people and take them off somewhere. A lot of times we didn't know where they were taking them off to, because, next thing you know, they're in a court in another state. And, but are we having these paramilitary groups that may come in? Um, are they going to try to force us to take them in? At that point, everybody's going to be standing up and defending their own property. And you've got to know your rights
Exactly.
before you can defend your property.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, okay, let's talk the lingo to the people that are in all this what's important to them today. What would you do if somebody came over, it was say military or, an officer or something, and came over and said, "You must give me your phone, your iPad, your laptop, excuse me, and I want that Bluetooth too. Give it to me right now." And you're like, "You're not taking this. This is my stuff." And then they put a gun to your face and say, "Give it to me. I have the right. I am and take it." You're going to want to defend that because see, that's important to you. That's
Right.
that's where your thinking is right now. "Oh, anybody takes my cell phone. Oh my gosh." You would defend your cell phone if somebody came over and was demanding to take it from you. You would defend it. Okay, take that scenario and put it on your property that you work hard for. This is your property, your yard, your home, your
Mm.
family, and you are going you this is yours. You're going to defend it. Okay? That
Mhm.
same analogy. You see, you understand that now. That's what it means. So these people can't just come in through your front door, bust in. If they do bust in, they had better have a warrant. And they can't say, "Oh, I got a warrant." You have to see the warrant. You have to be able to call that judge and all that stuff and have that information and know. You need you need to know your rights. And this is why we're here, to teach you that. We're not just
Yeah.
on here to do a show.
No, Cindy and I are both very passionate about the Constitution and about our founding of this nation and what was hard fought for us to have. And so, whenever the government seems like they're on a daily basis right now, taking away your rights, and you're trying to get people into various committees or you're getting them on various courts across the nation and so forth, and the legislative people and the judges do not know the Constitution, you better make sure that you know it, because they're going to try to take everything away from you otherwise.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And you already see what they're doing in schools. They have been dumbing kids down, letting them not have to take hard tests. Um, you know, if you fail a test, and you're allowed to take it again, then you know what? Study and take it again. You know, I didn't get to my doctorate just like they were handing it out. I had to study. I had to long nights. I had to give up things. I've had summers where I've had to give up. I've been where I was so burned out. I was absolutely dragging, but you know what? It was worth it to me to get what I wanted to get. And it would never have been the same if somebody would have given me a free ride, because I didn't get the free ride. And so I had to work for it. And at the very end of it, when I saw all my hard work and I got my diploma, it it was worth it to me. Don't When you go to school, don't allow your teachers to give you the easy way out. Don't take the easy way out. Learn. Learn to read, learn to write, learn to read cursive. Know your real, true history of the United States, because they don't want you to. And if that, knowing that they don't want you to know your history, they don't want you to know the Constitution, ask yourself, why?
Yeah.
Why don't they
What
want
are
me to know my
why,
laws?
right? What are they hiding? Because if they don't want you to know it, they're hiding something there and they want to take it away from you. Anyway, we're about out of time here, so I'm going to let Cindy do some little promo work here for Radio Free America and everything before we shut off our stream here.
Okay, let
Or
me
maybe
get
I'm.
my mess here. Let me see if I've got it. Yes, I do. if you watch any of my shows, you know I have a small desk and I have everything that falls off and stuff here. So we have a new app also. So the ministry is growing, praise the Lord. Okay, on the RFA schedule, um, we
RFA is
are.
Radio Free America.
Thank you. See, where would I be without her? uh,
We talk in
um,
abbreviations to each other, but I would like you to know what the name is.
I, I'm reading my own mess here. Um, uh, for the Black Robe Patriots on Radio Free America, you can catch us on Tuesday mornings or Tuesday evenings at 9 o'clock p.m. And all of these times are central. So Tuesday at 9 o'clock p.m., Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m., and Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m. That's Tuesday at 9 p.m., Thursday at 10 a.m., and Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m. And you want to get yourself the Get Me Radio app. And when you get the Get Me Radio app, you look for Radio Free America and you can find us there and on that schedule. Now we have a new app you can also get along with Get Me Radio. If you prefer this other one, it's called Tune In, the Tune In app, and you can also look for Radio Free America, and you will find us there too. So you can find us on Get Me Radio or the TuneIn app, and find us there and search for Radio Free America.
Yep. So we broadcast all of our shows here on Radio Free America. It's based out of Greece, even though we are Americans, but they don't have the censorship issues that we have here because you'll find that sometimes we get in trouble with part of the Facebook crowd or the YouTube crowd or whatever. And so we have to have some place where we can get our message out and not be censored for any reason whatsoever. So, if you miss us here,
Yeah.
you don't see us on Facebook or YouTube or even our website, then go to Radio Free America because you will find us there without an issue. And so at this point, we're going to shut down. We thank you for joining us today, and we hope you come back next week as we tackle one other amendment. We're going to make our way through all these that are our privacy issue type situations.
Yes. And
So,
read your Constitution. Learn your rights. They're your rights. Learn them.
yeah, and
Learn it. Live it.
Come back on Wednesday and see our other shows. Cindy has High Octane on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And I have Trials and Triumphs at 11 o'clock a.m. on Wednesdays. And we hope you come back and see us then. We get into all kinds of topics. So thank you for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day.